The lipid ribbon, that was amazing. Like, it's not a good thing, but it's like a whole new world inside of blood, and all you see is like a tiny bit of blood.
Today I'm going to the naturopath and I'm so excited. She's known for doing a live blood analysis in the room with you. So that you just prick your finger and look at your blood under a microscope, and apparently through that they can track down the root causes of your eczema and just like know what's happening in your body. I'm just so excited to find my root cause, because it's so hard to track it down yourself because there's so many factors influencing your skin to flare up, and there's like common root causes, but you never know if that actually applies to you. So with the blood analysis, it's obviously specific to my root cause and what's happening in my body, so I'm really excited to find that out.
Yeah, and maybe we could try it next week. It's under covers alone this time, but everything I see still reminds me of you.
Okay, it's actually been a few days since my visit to the naturopath. I just didn't get around taking a video after I came home, so yeah, better late than never. I wrote some stuff down so I wouldn't forget, so let's go through them together. My overall thoughts around my first visit to the naturopath was, it was so good. I'm so glad I went. The live blood analysis that she did was so interesting. I loved it so much. I don't think every naturopath does that, so if you're thinking of wanting to get that done, just make sure you check that they have that included in the session. But yeah, so first I went in and she had like a bunch of questions that were related to physical symptoms like migraines, like bloating, my appetite, things like that. And then after all of that, she asked me to poke my tongue out, and she actually saw like 3 different deficiencies just by looking at my tongue, which was really cool. One of them was that the outer corners of my tongue, like here, was a little bit bumpy. And another thing that she saw was that my tongue was moving around a little bit on its own, like when I was poking it out. Like, can you see how it's moving? Apparently that's another like symptom of a certain deficiency. And there was another thing that she said, but I forgot which symptom was linked to which deficiency, which is a bummer because I wanted to share it with you guys. But I wrote everything else down. Like, I've forgotten some of them because I didn't have a notebook with me at the time, and I really should have taken it with me because there was so many information that I just couldn't like remember all of them. But next time I visit her, I'll definitely go ask her about all the things that I've missed. The key highlight to the session was the live blood analysis. I loved it so much. It was so fun to do and see. She pricked my finger to get the blood sample and she put it under the microscope and we saw it together, and she was explaining what she was seeing, and she was explaining what things were linked to like which specific symptoms and, you know, just what's happening in my body. She saw that some of my red blood cells were like attached together and were forming kind of like a caterpillar-like structure. And it's not supposed to be like that. It should be individual red blood cells freely moving around. And some of the red blood cells were like brittle looking. The outside structure was a little bit like wonky and not a smooth looking platelet. Because red blood cells look like this. I drew a little picture. It has like a plate-like structure and it has like a dent in the middle. And some of my ones were looking like this. It had like a little bit of a wonky outside, and some of the other ones had like a darker color towards the center, and it's not supposed to be like that. And some were oxidized, and it was really funny to see how these oxidized red blood cells looked like that. And it was like, it literally looked like what you would imagine a bacteria would look like, you know, like those like spiky outer corners. It was exactly like that, and that was really interesting. So an oxidized red blood cell means that a free radical, which is the bad guy, we all have them in our bodies. It's actually produced in our body, but some people have more, some people have less, depending on your diet and just your lifestyle. And the free radicals, it gets a bit scientific, but they're missing an electron and they're so eager to grab onto any electron they can find. So they will attach onto the first thing they see and just take an electron out of them, and that's not a good thing. So what's happening to these red blood cells is that it's being oxidized. So that process is called oxidization. So yes, some of them were like that, and you could see like dark spots behind the red blood cells, and those are fungal growth. I think some of them were candida. She said I have to cut back on sugar because they feed on the sugar and they survive by eating the sugar that we consume. So to wipe that all out, I need to cut out on sugar so that they starve and they just like die off. And the lipid ribbon, that was really amazing. Like, it's not a good thing, but it was so amazing to see the things you see in your blood. It's like a whole new world inside of blood, and all you see is like a tiny bit of blood. And the lipid ribbon is unbroken lipids, so my body's not breaking down all the fats that I consume, so it's just floating around in my blood, and if it's not breaking down, it's not absorbing the nutrients from it. So no matter how well my diet is, it's only getting a portion of those nutrients because it's not breaking down properly. She also saw a thing called red pseudocrystal, and I'd never heard of that before, but I think she said that it was indicating like a liver toxicity, so my liver wasn't functioning properly and I need to work on that as well. And she also saw a histamine response to a food that I ate in the past like 3 days. So that was my blood analysis, and at the end of the session, she recommended me these supplements to help me to improve on the things that we saw in the blood analysis. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention. So in the blood analysis, I forgot how she saw this, but she saw that I had a leaky gut. So I need to heal that as well with the supplements and the food that I'm eating. So the diet she recommended was a Mediterranean diet, which includes having fish twice a week. I think once or twice a week of red meat, and no dairy except for yogurt. And in terms of like wheat and gluten, I don't think Mediterranean diet excludes them, but she said to not gluten-free, but just like lower my gluten consumption, because gluten and dairy are inflammatory foods and I need to remove it in order to heal my gut lining. And with sugar, I need to cut out on sugar. So she recommended that I swap my sugars to natural sweeteners. So at the moment I'm using monk fruit sweeteners, and I'm eating all the veggies and fruits that I usually eat. The new diet isn't that different from my usual diet. It's just that I need to swap my flours with spelt flour, and spelt wasn't that bad because I'd been gluten and dairy free back when I was dealing with TSW, and at the time I was using those flours that were labeled gluten free, and so I wasn't using spelt, but it was really hard to use the gluten free flour like the regular flours because it just didn't rise properly, or it had like a dry crumbly texture. But the spelt flour is so much like the regular flours, I guess because it still has gluten in it in small amounts. It rises properly and it has like a very similar texture to the regular flours, so I'm not struggling in that sense of like texture and palatability, which is great. And the sugars are just swapped with the monk fruit sweeteners, so the only major shift that I have to make an effort to change is dairy. I really like cheese, so I had to just cut out on that. And with the whole milk cow's milk that I was using, I've swapped it with soy milk. And with eggs, I need to avoid eggs as well. With baking, because I like to do some baking, I've swapped eggs with something called psyllium husk. You can find it in like these health sections at the shops. They're soluble fibers, and when you put them in like the baking mixture, it creates that stickiness and it holds the mixture together. So it's an egg alternative, but it is kind of sad that I can't eat scrambled eggs. So now that I have to have a low gluten diet, the carbs that I'm eating is pretty much rice, and I've been eating rice all the time anyways, so that's been fine. One of the supplements that I'm taking increases my body pH level, and with the fungal growth, I need to cut out on sugar and also create an alkalized environment, so that's bringing my pH up, because at the moment my body is in an acidic state, which is about pH of like 5.9 to 6.3, which is pretty acidic. And from my knowledge, body pH should be between 7.2 to 7.4. So I was like, wow, that's really acidic. And she said people nowadays have an acidic pH than we're meant to be because of all the things that we're eating. We're not eating well, like with all the ultra processed foods, not eating enough fruit and veggies, you know, eating lots of sugar, that sort of thing. It's making our body more acidic, and an acidic environment is very favorable to things like fungus. And when you eat lots of sugar on top of that, you're just creating the best environment for them to thrive in, which you don't want. My next session with her is in 3 weeks time. I'll keep updating you guys about my naturopath sessions. Alright, see you guys later.
These are the supplements that my naturopath recommended for me. She actually recommended like 5 others, but they were pretty pricey since they're really like high quality. So I just got these 2 plus another one, and actually these 2 and 2 more. But I can't take those yet because one of them wasn't in stock, so we were just ordering that one, and the 4th one I have to take with the 3rd one together. So I'm just going to take these 2. This one is for increasing my pH in my body and is from Germany, and it's like a liquid form supplement. And this one is also from Germany. This one's for reducing my candida. They don't taste like anything. There's like the tiniest bit of aftertaste. This was it. Okay, Google, volume to 0. Hey guys, so I am baking some matcha muffins. And since I need to cut back on like wheat products, dairy and eggs, I've been trying to find recipes that don't contain those things. And my naturopath recommended me to use spelt flour instead of just the normal like flour. It still has wheat in it, but apparently it's a lot less harmful for your body. And since I'm not a celiac, I can use this for like I guess like a wheat-free alternative. Kind of. So I use this instead of the regular flour, and also I need to cut back on sugar. So my naturopath recommended me to use monk fruit sweetener instead of just sugar. So I've been using that since yesterday. And also for the eggs alternative, I'm using psyllium husk. I actually bought this just now. I saw online that you could either use this psyllium husk or flaxseed meal to replace eggs. So for the matcha muffins, I've already mixed the dry ingredients in. So it's the spelt flour with the monk fruit sweetener, matcha powder, and I need to put some baking powder in. I forgot I'd run out of it, so I just went and bought another one. And then I'm gonna add some rice bran oil and psyllium husk and some soy milk, mix it up together and put it in the oven. Since I've been gluten-free and dairy-free for a year during TSW, it's sort of easy for me to shift back into that lifestyle. And I noticed that there's so many more options available in like the shops compared to the last time I was gluten and dairy-free, which was back in 2022. So yeah, I'm so thankful for that. It smells so good already. For dinner, we're gonna have Mexican, so I'm gonna make some guac with these avocados. They are very ripe. I'm gonna make a lot so I can eat them with my multigrain crackers as well. So my naturopath recommended that I go gluten-free and dairy-free, but I'm gonna take it slowly and not like go all out from the start. Like I'm still gonna have my multigrain crackers in the morning, and those do have gluten, but they're multigrain, so I don't think it's that much of a problem, like especially at the start when I'm like gradually making that change. I think that way it won't be too stressful for me to make that change, and it's gonna stick with me long term, rather than having to do it all out and, you know, be so stressed about the change. And I'll probably crave a lot of food that's not good for me. I'm gonna keep it a slow, gradual shift so it'll become my new lifestyle. These avocados. I'm actually pretty excited to change. I'm actually pretty excited to make these lifestyle changes and see how much my body improves. And I'm going to be going back to see the naturopath in 4 weeks, so we'll do the blood analysis again and see how it's changed from the last visit. I've been eating pretty well recently, and there was like a list of foods to avoid and list of foods to consume, and except for like dairy and gluten, there was not much to change because I was already doing pretty well with my diet, especially because I've been trying to lose a little bit of weight because my wedding's coming up at the end of this year. So I've been on a calorie deficit for like 4 weeks now, so I haven't been eating a lot of junk food and I've been working out more. So I've already been making those changes before seeing the naturopath, so it was easier for me to pick up on the additional changes. So yeah, I'm glad that I had already kind of shifted to that healthier lifestyle beforehand, because I don't crave for much junk food anymore since making that change. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks since I've kind of shifted to that lifestyle. It's not that I ate heaps of junk food before, but I would have like chips maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, but now I don't. I barely have any. Like, we have, you know, those microwavable popcorns, we have those instead of chips, and those are a little bit better for you because it's not fried. Yeah, just those little changes that adds up to a massive difference after a year or 2 is so important. It's the small things that you do daily that adds up. I've pitted all these avocados. I need to chop up some coriander. Oh my gosh, the matcha muffins are looking so good. It's only been like 5 minutes since I put them in the oven, and they're already rising. I'll show you. Yum! They smell so good. It smells so good. Okay, I'm adding some coriander.
Proud 7 days a week, but I come back around like a roller rink. When the sun is down, it sets a whole different scene. Tripping on my tongue when you're craving sweet nothings. We're not even an honor, but you're feeling like it's something. I won't talk about it cause I wanna feel your loving. Yeah. Never think before I react. No, it's bad when I play it back. I'm sorry if I
forgot to film the ending, so I'm just adding this on. But I hope you guys liked the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.
know it's annoying.